Vodafone presents the pre-match.
It's time to see what the G2 Samurai are capable of up against MVP. Now, there's not too much to talk about regarding MVP, a team that have been struggling to post results on the international scene. However, they stand against a weakened G2. In fact, this Samurai has most definitely lost its power. It seems to be going up against what has been quite the turmoil and tumultuous times as of late. I'm your host, Machine. I have myself, Sniper, and YNK to chat to about this one. Gents, we have to probably focus most of our discussion initially about what we have seen from the G2 roster ever since the what has been a rather dysfunctional time, bringing Mixwell into the roster, we're losing Shocks and generally just trying to find their feet again. It has been a moment of rebuilding. It does seem like they're trying to find a new approach to the game. What are your expectations regarding G2 in the coming months?
Look, for me, it's a tough one. I mean, they've always been, even when they had Shocks, they were a fairly inconsistent team.
Yeah.
You know, they would find good form for one tournament, and then you would get your hopes up, and then obviously just to get crushed the next tournament. So, yeah, with Mixwell, I mean, it's just something that they're going to have to build on. I mean, Yanko probably might even know, like, their lineup, what's going on in that situation. Are they going to be changing players soon, or, you know, are there rumors about, Kenny S and whatnot in the Shocks team? So, look, if that is what is to come of the next few months, I mean, what do you make of this tournament? Do you write them off here and just say, look, this is just maybe their last hurrah, or even still, will that make them play even better?
I mean, when we were talking about this backstage, I was suggesting MVP actually have a real shot at this. Yanko, what's your read?
I think it's not impossible, all things considering, right? We talk about G2, they've only played 31 map with this lineup total, both online and on LAN. MVP played 39 on LAN in the past 3 months only. Jesus. So they definitely have an upper hand in terms of, you know, team play, in terms of just playing on LAN with this particular lineup, right? No language barriers like with G2 either. But, you know, G2 has been putting in a lot of work. We've heard from Apex in interviews about MBK as an in-game leader that he's really trying hard. You know, he's really studying the opponents, also focusing on their own game to, you know, fit all the pieces properly. So that still gives you hope. The question is, where do you cut off that time excuse, right? They need more time, or they haven't had enough time and all of that. I think that moment is coming if it's not here already.
Okay, well, with that said, I mean, we would like to see what the map is going to be. Admittedly, you know, this is where there should be an advantage to MVP, just simply the fact that the map pool is just not going to be deep enough.
Well, the thing is, you speak of the map pool, but both of these teams really liked Cobble.
Aha!
And that's gone.
Okay.
So one of them is going to have to take Dust2 out, and unfortunately for MVP, it's going to have to be one of them. And as the underdog, maybe you would think about keeping that one in. They both like Nuke, Keish as well. They both like Keish, but obviously G2 are going to steer clear from that one, just maybe the unknown. But Inferno, I mean, look, this is MVP's best map. We've seen them play this map time and time again in the APAC region, just recently in the Pro League qualifiers, which they won. And look, for me, I just think it's just going to be the perfect test for G2. I mean, unless they've done their homework on the MVP Inferno, which is pretty brutal. I mean, they don't do everything that makes sense in a way on their banana. It's just like the Solo and Zeph show. They just like to clash heads every round and just see how they go.
Okay.
But they do have a very methodical T side, and I think they can catch G2 by surprise here.
Interesting. What do you reckon, Inferno?
An MVP, obviously a name that goes way back. I mean, or the core of this team, or most notably Solo and Glow, right? They've been the guys who've been playing for Project KR, then Eastro, and we made Fox back in the days in 1.6, and those teams were notorious for having very, very methodical T sides, right? Up to very single flash, like every timing is perfect, right? They were really good at setting up like predetermined strats and set pieces. CSGO, obviously a very much different game, but that's where it comes to actually having a set piece. You can count on these guys to have all the X's and O's really lined up. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I like this mix for MVP. They've had two rosters at the time, the organization, this and that, the veterans on one side, the young guns on the other. Now they mix the two, and this seems where their results have been picking up. You know, when you talk about regional opponents, beating Tai Lu in a best of 3, right, beating pretty much all of the Aussie teams at some point, that's their competition when you talk about the region, and they've been doing great lately.
On Inferno, they're practically undefeated in this region, and then you have a look at their recent results in WSG against Envious. We were just saying they beat Envious there on Inferno, so it's definitely another French team and something to be careful about here if you are G2. I feel like they've fallen into the MVP trap card, and just as you were saying, Yanko, like they were notorious for that methodical T side because they used to verse bots or whatnot and do their dry running in 1.6 just against nobody.
Yeah.
But their CT was like infused infuriatingly aggressive. They used to just push straight down middle, all this sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if this carries across.
Interesting.
What I love from MVP as well is their veto, right? They left Nuke in really because it was, you know, they know they're the underdog, and G2 is going to have to veto out the Nuke because it's a quirky map.
It's going to be scary. G2 then versus MVP. Let's get into it with you casters.
Thanks, guys. Yes, a lot of discussion there about Inferno, and as soon as I saw Inferno pop up there on the vetoes, my eyes kind of lit up a little bit, Tim. Because like our analyst said, this is the best map for MVP.PK. Going to be starting off on the CT side. Looks like Zephyr's already gone down here in the pistol round, but G2 making their way forward towards the A-bomb site.
The three-man walk carpet where Zion is waiting with the CZ. This could be dangerous for them, but MVP, they have already lost this player, and there's a fight going down in Banana.
There's a push there as well from Solo out into Banana, like you mentioned. He's got a lot of information here. He's heard that rotation off onto the A-bomb site from G2, and he might just get the timing here. HSK, in fact, is going to be the one to kill Apex, but look at this double setup from MVP. One on Balk, one in pit, and it's working out to perfection right now. Glow gets 3, an excellent round for MVP to start things off on the CT side.
Obviously, we didn't see where Zeph died there, but it's dealt with very well. Solo taking the Banana control and getting info into mid as well. From there, it's sharpshooting, of course, but from Glow. But you feel like they had a pretty good handle on that round regardless. So that's going to force G2 back onto the pistol. They're going to have to force buy here because with no bomb plant going down, they need to try and do something in this round. The gun round will be round 4 no matter what, but that's the start that MVP wanted. And like we said on the desk, this is their best map. This is the best shot for an upset that MVP have got, given that G2 have allowed them to come away with this.
Yeah, look, to be honest, if I was any team going up against MVP, Inferno would have definitely been one of my first bans. So G2, either they haven't done that research and they don't know that MVP are very, very good on Inferno, or they're extremely confident in their own Inferno going up against MVP. I feel like the latter is actually a good thing for G2, but it may yet come unstuck for them.
And like Yanko said, the fact that Nuke gets through so late as well. MVP in previous lineups were very, very good on Nuke. It's not so much of a thing for this core, but they know that if they have to force G2 to pick either Nuke or Inferno, they're going to pick Inferno. So the veto actually is won, I think, by MVP, certainly the way that they played it, but now the push coming up into mid.
Yeah, absolutely. Glow and HSK doing a good work. A good bit of work, in fact, there onto those guys from G2 pushing on forward. Zion will get involved as well with his MP9. And it's just Apex left alive with the Deagle. He's picked himself up an M4 here, but there are MVP players very close by indeed, and Zeph will shut that one down. So not too difficult of a round really there for MVP. They don't lose too much. Although, were they able to secure the second M4 through?
Doesn't look like it. Don't think they were, but it's not too much of an issue as this one's just going to be a full Glock round out of G2. Got a few players who could maybe afford to buy a pistol, but really the richest player is Kenny S, and that's the way you want him to stay. He needs to be on that AWP in round 4 to have a decent bit of impact. Of course, he's an accomplished rifler, but you want your AWP to have an AWP where possible. So for MVP, they've got 2 MP9s out, going to try and farm themselves a bit of cash. Lots of HE grenades as well, trying to do early damage onto G2 and just make their job that little bit easier.
Well, again, that's something that the analyst spoke about, maybe not so in-depth here, but the banana control for MVP.PK on the CT side, very aggressive, and that's where those grenades are coming from. Look at how forward Solo is playing right now. The smoke does go down. Actually, aggression across the rest of the map even as well for MVP.PK, and it's working out really nicely.
Yeah, they're getting the trades rolling through as well, and that... We see that first kill there coming in from Zion here. This is something that G2 will have to watch for as the bomb goes down. Zion loves aggressing in apps on both T and CT side. We saw at the Pro League finals last week or a few weeks ago, whenever they were, we had Zion in apps on both T and CT side. Even on T side, he'd often be the lurker taking apps control and looking to take a fight on A. Prime Pool rotates off as the rest of his team went B. So it's a position that he's very fond of.
Yeah, Zion definitely a good player to talk about here for MVP.PK. The guys on the desk didn't really have too much time to break down the individual players for MVP, but at least in my mind, Zion is definitely the player to watch here for MVP. He's been putting in massive performances for this roster. He is the newest member of this roster, although that was quite a little bit of a while ago, earlier on this year. But since joining this MVP roster, they've really had a lot of success with Zion, and a lot of it has specifically come from him.
As indeed, he's definitely a highlight player to watch. Bonus round coming through from MVP here, holding on to the FAMAS and the MP9. And for G2, they've got the full buyout. Kenny S onto the AWP, able to save up for that one as mentioned. Still, the nade usage kept up from MVP. This time, they don't get too much, but had Kenny gone for an aggressive pick into mid there, he'd be dead. Double nade straight on him. So MVP doing good with the utility, or doing well with the utility, I should say, to limit G2 early on. But now they've thrown out quite a bit. Need to chill out a little bit, or they'll have no utility usage by the time G2 get to them. But Speaking of G2 on the terrorist side, starting out by taking some apps control with 3 players. The bomb's here too. There's 1 player over on B. Solo's just rotated back to join Zeph though.
My real concern here is Glow holding in jungle with that MP9. It's going to be quite tough for him at the long angle that he's got. He'll get the utility down there, which will buy a little bit more time here for MVP, but G2 going to be making their way through Diggity and towards the A bomb site. Apex just holding strong for the moment, not deciding to push in. G2, they haven't committed to it just yet.
But neither have MVP. They've got 4 players over here, but they haven't lost anyone. So while they don't know exactly what the T's are doing, they've also still got 5 players alive.
But they do have Zeph pushed quite forward into Banana. So a little bit of information coming about from that. Solo is allowed the rotation across the A bomb site here for MVP. So it is a 4-stack there. Zeph does spot a couple of players out, and he will decide to fall back into the B bomb site. In the meanwhile, Zion has been dropped over on A. It's going to be very tough there for Glow to get out of the corner. And the rotation has gone again back over to the B bomb site, so it's mind games right now from G2, but they'll make their way into the site. Glow, he gets 2. There's no head armor there across the board for G2, or they just got absolutely wrecked regardless. And it's now 3 versus 3. He got way more done with the MP9 than we would have expected him to. And now it's on the 2 remaining players on this side here for MVP. HSK will be dropped, but Zeph, the timer is working for him. The bomb will be dropped though for G2. Planted, I should say. But 2 players very low on HP here.
This is so winnable for MVP. Apex will get caught out though. That leaves it all into Body. He's so low. 7 HP inside pit.
Yeah, Body's got a big task ahead of him, but there is a solo peek there. It is going to be a 1 versus 1 now. Body does get a great headshot across. And Zeph, all he has to do is hit 1 shot, and he does. MVP, they come away with the first gun round. It was a bit shaky, but to be fair, their buy was also a little bit shaky, and really it comes from Glow. 2 with that MP9. Who would have thought he could get that from that position?
And that's best case scenario as well, because that was a bonus round for MVP. They were keeping a FAMAS and an MP9 through. So the fact that Glow is able to do that means that A, he makes an extra bit of money. B, he means that them having the MP9 wasn't a weakness in the end. And while it does come down to a 1v1, MVP win it. They don't have to waste all of their, or spend all of their money reinvesting. Like 2 players are below 2K, but look at the money on the rest of them, 3 now. They've got a full buyout. G2 are down onto the CZs and utility. Couple smokes, couple flashes, most likely just going to go for apps control as they have been doing. Maybe a flood of flashes out into the A-bomb site, try and put the bomb down. But MVP, they've been pretty solid here on this hold. Once again, they've got this aggressive banana presence taken. Yeah. They're looking good so far in this Inferno game.
Solo's got the AWP there as well, playing from Banana. So inevitably, we are probably going to be seeing Zeph start to rotate across. And this is the traditional setup really for MVP.PK, is they get control of Banana, they set Solo up there with the AWP, and then they rotate that extra player over to the A bomb site. Meanwhile, you might sometimes see HSK AWPing over on the A site, but it's always Solo over on the B site there for MVP. This time though, just a single AWP out for MVP, and G2 being kept at bay by the utilities of MVP, which is much as the same as what we saw in the last round. MVP really put all their utility into that round.
Doing it again here as well, and here comes the push. The flashbang is through. Now HSK has to lock this one down, but he's been picked by the CZ. Low, though, hasn't been checked, and he's in this corner again doing damage. The push, though, is coming into Solo.
Yeah, he'll get a good incendiary down there. Quickly, that does keep G2 at bay. He misses the shot, and he actually gets dropped very, very low on the 2 HP. In the end, he'll get out of there alive, and he will be able to play the crossfire setup here with Zeph. Glow's going to be just hanging around in CT spawn, making sure that if anything happens over on A, he's got a quick rotate across. Again, good utility down here from MVP, and if Solo pulls the trigger right now, well, not quite going to, but it could have been dangerous for Mixwell. In the end, G2 will stream their way into the site. Solo hits a good shot. Zeph gets traded out, and so too Solo. So G2, they have managed to crack the nut that is the B bomb site, but the bomb is not quite in their control. And Glow, if he gets the timing right here, he might be able to deny that bomb plant. Deciding to play the safe game, though, and not going through that smoke. The flashbang does come out. Zion does get that first frag, which was desperately needed. Now Kenny S in a dangerous spot, but he'll hit the shot. Now it's a crossfire. Glow can't get the job done. Kenny S gets 2, and G2... they come away with a bit of a sneaky round there. The CZ and armor proving to be too much for MVP.
Never underestimate the CZ. It's incredibly strong at the moment in the current meta, and G2 pull away a round that really they shouldn't have, but they're able to find the frags to make it work. Shutting out the retake with some good flashbang dodging. And I mean, there's a bit of a team flash there as well from MVP, so that only helps delay them, but it doesn't matter. G2 get the round across the board. Going to be upgrading into the buy now, keeping through the AWP and the M4 stolen from the CT side. They're using some utility to keep MVP out of Banana as well. They've identified that MVP like to take this with some mollies, use the deep smoke, and then take Banana control, but G2 now have stopped them doing that. They've got Mixwell in front of the smoke. Mollies to force the CTs back, and Mixwell's going to apply pressure again now, so good adjustment from G2. They've got themselves Banana at least, but not yet the B side.
Yeah, expending quite a bit of utility there on both sides, actually. MVP are starting to really dwindle as far as their grenades are concerned, and they're going to really be relying on the aim for now. MVP under pressure, though, as Apex gets a good entry onto the B bomb site. Solo goes down, not really offering much resistance at all. Zeph is going to be just rotating in through the connector here, but Smokes will keep him at bay for now.
Another retake, 4 versus 5. The gun's not great here for MVP. If they're going to go for this, they've got to find some frags pretty quickly, and already losing Glow means that they pretty much had to cancel at this point.
Yep.
Zeph's going to hunt for a bit of damage.
Well, he's in a little bit too far now to actually be able to get out of it without fighting his way out. Mixwell goes charging on forward, and there is a smoke which could potentially allow Zeph to get out safely, but he's going to decide to stay in here and see if he can do a little bit more damage on the exit to G2. Not a terrible decision, really, when you consider he's just got that UMP. If he loses it, yeah, it's going to be a deficit, but it's not going to be the worst scenario, and he will, in fact, be allowed out there by his teammate. Upgrades to from us. Not a great round, though, for MVP. They didn't really have a chance at all.
And that was the thing with that. G2 had the change-up ready. They know from watching the first few rounds that what MVP like to do to take Banana is the deep smoke, the mollies and the flashbangs early to take Banana control. They smoke it deep, and then they post up one player there. That leaves Zeph free to rotate. It's normally Solo. That round, G2 say, okay, they're doing that. We're going to molly it. Even if they throw the deep smokes, we've got the mollies on car. We've got the mollies top Banana. We know that they're either going to be pushed all the way up where we should be able to trade them, or it's incredibly unlikely to do that through the Molotovs. They'll have to fall back. We can take Banana off them. And from there, pushing onto the B site, the hold was not as strong for MVP. So this tack pause that they're taking now, they're going to need to have a chat about Banana, figure out what they want to do if G2 are going to continue to do that sort of play to take it off them. God, I love these super fast cameras. Meow.
Well, MVP, I think the chat was actually, do we buy into this round or do we save? And the option was to decide to buy. They've thrown the AK over to Zion, which for me is the correct decision, despite the fact that Glow right now is the one that's really fragging out for MVP up to 8. Zion is definitely the impact player for MVP. So it's good to see him with the AK in his hands.
Now they've got 3 players over towards B. Once again, MVP, or G2 I should say, are denying the early control. Look at this utility. They're trying to get rid of MVP completely from top Nana. That's like 4 HEs they've thrown over, I think. Zeph, though, immediately takes the fight, pushes in close.
MVP, they don't care if G2 is there. They don't care if they're taking grenades to the face. They're just continuing to walk on down the Banana.
Give us Banana.
Yeah, they want it. They really do. And MVP, now that they have gained control of the Banana, are going to be able to just situate that single player there. This time, it's once more Solo, but no warp. Just the FAMAS. Zeph will rotate across, or start to rotate across.
He's just going to float until the hit comes in, but G2 have a lot of positioning in towards A. They've got the apps control for themselves. Bombs down out in second mid, still safe. So waiting to see what they can find on these early picks, but majority of their forces towards mid, pretty much entirely non-committal at this point. Solo goes for the right spray. He could just drop Apex, but instead, he's going to sneak up close. This is a big gamble from Solo. He can either do this or he can lose the B-bomb site completely, just like that.
Yeah, well, he avoided the flashbang well, but Apex was able to get the kill regardless, and it has slowed down G2 enough that maybe Zeph can get across here. Zion making work happen in those apartments, like you mentioned earlier. Zeph's got the information that there are indeed players coming to the B-bomb site, and he's going to take the aggressive peek. Could have really been his undoing. In the end, he's going to get away with it, and he will be able to rotate in through construction, or no, has to stay through in CT, but bomb will go down for G2, and a 4 versus 4 on the retake. Didn't work out last time for MVP. Very difficult for them to try and make it work this time. They're going to come in on the back of those flashbangs. NBK just gets absolutely slaughtered, but he's really playing bait for his teammates. Kenny's and Apex able to close out a couple of frags, and now just the 2 here, and Zion not in a position really to have the impact. Zeph might be able to, and gets the finger across to Kenny. Yes, Zion and Zeph, they find a killer piece, and now it's a 1 versus 1, but is he expecting Mixwell from the same angle? Yes, he is! But Mixwell hits the shot, and MVP can't quite clutch the round out.
That said, though, that round was not a great buy for them. They were on for Masters, UMPs, those sorts of guns. So to do that much damage to G2 is decent, but looking at the money, it's not really affected them. 2 players low, but 3 very rich indeed. And now Apex, good old Apex, very aggressive player, has called out the fact that it's just going to be the pistols and no armor. He's gone for a MAC-10. I assume he's going to go somewhere quite quickly, try and farm up a bit of money and cash. And for MVP, they've just got the pistols to try and stop this happening. Already for G2, the adjustment is they're spamming in towards Apps, trying to prevent Zyne from taking that early control if it is what he wants to do. Mixwell is tasked with holding onto Banana by himself. G2, you're getting pretty fast reads through here on what MVP are doing and adapting quite rapidly. Forces MVP to try new things as well, which they have done. A 4-stack on the arch side.
And it is very new, really. They're not going to have much control over that A-bomb side, especially if G2 do what it looks like they're going to do and push in through Diggity and Apartment. Yes. Just watching the angle with the AWP, and Glow's going to be forced out by the Molotov, but he will survive and actually gets the kill there onto NPK. A little bit more coming from Glow than you would expect once again. He's having some good impact from the position that he is playing, but in the end, obviously it is just the one frag, and now it's all onto Solo here. Not an easy round for him to do anything in, and 4 versus 4, as far as the rounds are concerned, is where we're at. G2 warming their way into this one, and it's definitely showing.
It is indeed.
HSK's got the AWP now.
So I was about to mention the AWP out on Kenny S as well, so we can see this AWP v AWP battle. For HSK, as an AWPer, he tends to be a bit more of a stagnant AWPer than Kenny likes to be. He tends to be more of a turret holding lines, getting picks. And against Kenny S, who will happily peek just about anyone on the planet, I think that's going to be a bit of a tough ask, but certainly doable for him. Let's have a look at where HSK is playing. Looks like he's towards... Is he Apps aggressive with an AWP? What?
Oh, we've seen him do it a couple of times, and it does work out once or twice. You know, you can use this once a half or once a map or something like that. But, well, Mixwell, a little bit unlucky not to get that frag onto Zeph. He survives on 1 HP. In the end, MVP do survive with all 5 players alive, but certainly G2 are controlling this team side quite well right now, and HSK just gets slaughtered.
I think they heard him scope. They were certainly close enough at the bottom of the stairs here to hear that, so... Excellent spam from them, shuts him down. You've got to remember that the walls of those apartments are paper thin. Zeph is on 1 HP over here on B.
Yeah, a stray grenade is going to be the death of him. But Zeph, he's still able to do damage, even if he is on 1 HP. Solo gets spotted out by Kenny S and deleted off the map by Apex. Zeph, though, gets the job done with that 1 HP. He shouldn't be lasting too much longer, though. He gets the smoke down, tries to buy himself some more time. In the end, Kenny S does dispatch of him. G2 again, they've found that weakness now on the B bomb site. When MVP can't control Banana, their B hold is actually quite weak. And G2 definitely are taking advantage of that and exploiting it right now. Yeah,
it's G2 are being very adaptive to what MVP are doing. And as you say, the Banana hold is a big part of it. When MVP had denied that, their crossfires on the B site aren't as established. And now Body's just lurking over cleaning up the guns. But, you know, the B site, something an MVP are going to have to look at trying to figure out a bit of a better crossfire for if they have to give up Banana. Especially considering that Mixwell is essentially taking it solo in the start of these rounds now, and then having teammates back him up. Glow can't quite hold on to the gun in the end. 3 players stay alive for G2 as they win their 5th straight. And for MVP, the money's there for a force, but not a buy. Difficult times for them now, G2. Probably moving towards 6 on their T side here.
Yeah, MVP should just be taking the eco here. They don't have too many rounds actually left to play with in this half, and you know, despite being 4-5, it doesn't look that bad right now. It could very quickly fall by the wayside, and G2 comes out with a 10-5 half or something like that. I mean, G2's picked up 5 rounds in a row now, so MVP do have to start worrying a little bit about how this is going, and like you said, figuring out how they want to play out the rest of this CT side. The Apps aggression we've seen, it hasn't worked. Banana aggression we've seen has been completely punished by G2. So what are the options now for MVP?
In this case, it's trying to get aggressive towards Apps, and it's not worked. Zyne has been caught out by Body. Kenny comes through with another as well. This is just going to be an easy cleanup for them. Unfortunately, in a round like this, if you don't find the first kill, you're very unlikely to find too many after that. So it's all on to Zeph. Stuck alone on B. There's nothing for him to do, really. Apex is on just 3 HP, but with the MAC-10, doesn't care if he dies. He's got himself a bit of money for it. And while they are moving over towards B, the bomb is not yet committed. It's just G2 on the cleanup here. Kenny, I don't know how he finds that shot, but immediately upon landing, he shuts down Zeph. Pretty easy round for them, but MVP, they'll be able to get some guns out here, and this will be another test for them.
Another test for G2 as well, but so far they've been passing with flying colours. Tactical pause once more out here for MVP. Used a couple. Didn't really do much for them last time they used one. So maybe they've got something left in their back pocket here again. The double AWP is something that they could always fall back onto. Something that we see MVP do quite often.
Possible for them, but I think the main thing I need to talk about is what they want to do towards Banana, because there was that, of course, the first round where they lost it when G2 threw all those Molotovs early, then pushed into B. The next round that MVP had guns and decided to fight it, they pushed through all the Molotovs and the HEs and retook Banana, but then they did that twice, I think, and then both times Solo got aggressive to try and hold it on his own, just got picked by a flash coming through a smoke and then a player after it. So they have gone for the double AWP, as you say. Solo, before HSK came in, was the main AWPer on this team, so it's certainly a gun that he is comfortable with. But they're going to have to change up something here, and it's 3 players towards B off the start. HSK throws the smoke for bottom Banana. Lots of utility coming out.
Oh, look at this.
NES, gutsy as hell, takes down Glow.
Yeah, Glow certainly was not prepared for that. NES just going super aggressive, starting to feel it here. Perhaps G2 now they want to put pressure on MVP, and that's definitely one way of doing it. Apex, in fact, has even kept the MAC-10 through in this round, so, I mean, again, it's the B hold is just not strong enough right now for MVP. Mixwell gets 2 very easy entry frags, and G2, once again, they get into B. And what can MVP do from this point? You can't retake the B bomb site very easily on a map like Inferno, particularly when you have a player disadvantage, and in this case, it's not even going to be an attempt, really, for MVP, unless they find a couple more picks around the rest of the map.
Even if they do at this point, like Zion potentially has 2 players he could kill, but he's not going to get over to B very quickly if he does that. So at this point, they've got to try and save the guns. And with G2 getting that far up Banana, there's not really too much that MVP are able to do, especially with Mixwell. He's not doing anything too special, just peeking and pre-firing angles and not being shut down for it at all. So for MVP, got to figure out something over on B. Throwing the early smoke isn't working, because the reason they have 3 players B early on is that they have 1 player go over, I think it's HSK who does it, and he throws from construction the smoke for bottom Banana. But G2 don't care about that. They're pushing past the smoke, getting up into Banana, and then just dismantling the B hold.
Zion and MBK coming very close to each other, and HSK almost getting a frag there, but the
cut off mid-flick
does run out. MVP, well, do they force buy behind this? I feel like at this point now, you've got a few rounds left in the half. You pretty much have to be force buying in. Zion and HSK could both drop guns.
At this point, for MVP, they've been trying the same thing on Banana. It hasn't been working. Maybe even just send the AWP over there, have HSK go for a quick pick instead of relying on this smoke bottom Banana. Like, you can see how fast G2 get up there every time. There's the nades, but they're going to be a bit late. Whoa. They do a lot of damage, but they don't stop Kenny getting up fast.
Yeah, Mixwell is down on significantly low HP. But the thing is, I think if HSK goes aggressive into Banana here, he might even get caught off guard by the pace that G2 is going up through Banana. But yeah, G2 have definitely shut down that control of the map that MVP like to take. This is textbook. How to beat MVP on Inferno. Win Banana. And that's exactly what G2 have been doing. Utilities out from them every single round. Grenades, Molotovs, everything. And MVP just don't have the answer to it. Gives so much freedom now over to the Ts. Look at this 3-stack in B for MVP. They're so scared that the B bomb site has been under pressure from MVP that it makes, or that from G2, that it makes the push into the A bomb site now for G2 much, much easier.
Yeah, it's very difficult here for MVP to try and do anything, just desperately hanging on. But G2 are in no rush here. 45 seconds left on the clock. They've managed to draw out a rotation as well. Glow's gone over to try and reinforce this bomb site. Kenny S is holding the angle that HSK is walking straight into. You can't peek Kenny S like that, unfortunately. Far too good. And while HSK was looking for some info, it will be denied him.
Oh, he's got the info, but he's also sacrificed his life for it. Which is
indeed
not an equal trade, really, as far as MVP is concerned.
The Molotov there to get rid of Glow. Did spend a lot of time in that corner, and now Zion, those few balls will give away his position. He's actually managed to work his way past him in the smoke. This could work out well.
Glow's gone down in the meanwhile, and Body knows that he hasn't spotted the player in pit on balcony at all, so they know that Zion has managed to get through into the apartments and get himself into the smoke. So in the end, the timer gets quite low, but the bomb does go down still for G2. They're in a really good position here. Unless Solo maybe gets a free kill onto MBK, and even then MVP, they still need to find a couple more frags. Right now, G2 has just set up with the perfect post-plant scenario. And MVP, it just seems like there's no way in for them. They might even just have to back off here and try and save.
The only way they were winning that round is if Zion managed to come out of apps and drop the bomb planter. And that was never going to happen with the pit player watching him. So G2, they're very aware of what they needed to do. They even planted safe from apps, so if their pit player does somehow freakishly die, they would have been alright either way. And they're going to be taking their 8th round now. We talked a bit up MVP, the fact that they managed to get onto Inferno, which is arguably their best map, but a lot of what makes it really good for them is the banana control and the apps control from Zion. Particularly on the T side, we see a lot of him lurking in around there, late round or even mid round, going out through Boiler, finding a pick or two, and drawing a rotate away from B for his team to hit, or even just opening up the A-bomb side. But for now, on their CT side, MVP are getting shut down pretty hard by the reads from G2. They get away with 4 rounds, but no more than that. And that does mean that G2 are looking very comfortable now. The buy is out for MVP. They've got the AWP out again on HSK, but he hasn't had that much of an impact with it, really.
Yeah, G2 could buy out the rest of this half as well. MVP, they'd be looking for 7, but realistically, it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to even get close. Zeph will be mollied off, and the smoke gives away his position. Apex so aware of it. Just spamming through that smoke. There's absolutely nothing that Zeph can do, and Apex gets the kill onto HSK, who was looking for the trade. Right now, MVP are just being outskilled.
They are. Very much so. They tried to go for an aggressive banana hold there, but the utility forces them back. Apex, of course, known as a relentless entry fragger, finds himself 2, and Solo, playing around this smoke here, might be able to find 1. But Mixwell's just sat right in front of him. He has no idea. Even if he does get this one, the bomb is rotating out.
Oh, not great timing for Solo to be moving there. In the end, the frag will go the way of Mixwell. It's traded back by Glow, but trades are not good enough right now for MVP. They need to be clawing their way back into this round, and
rotates through as well.
It's just not going to happen. Once more, I feel like a broken record, but MVP, they can't get anything done on this CT side.
The fact that they're losing Banana, they're not even losing Banana so much that they're just giving it up. They're trying to fight it, and they're just getting destroyed. It's Mixwell walking up and finding 2. Or that round, it's Apex managing to lock them both down. Comes at the back of some utility for his teammates, allows him to get the first one. A missed AWP shot from HSK means it's easy cleanup for any rifler, really. But Apex, of course, very good on the entry fragging role. Means that MVP have to sit on B and save. Really getting shut out here, not having too much of an opportunity to do anything. Glow gets 2 kills there, but it's just shutting down the people who are trying to hunt the guns. The bomb's down on A, under no pressure at all from MVP. G2 very comfortable.
There's no reason not to hunt right now for G2. Look at how much money they've got in the bank. If they take these 2 guns away from MVP,
they have 4
it's going to force the full rebuy.
On 16k.
In the end, they can't quite get those 2 kills. But realistically, I'm not so sure it really matters. G2 is going to be able to close this half out. They've looked so good, even up against the guns. Like MVP hasn't even had the opportunity to shoot back, really.
And the thing there with Apex entry frags there as well, he knows the player in the corner because they mowed it and the smoke was dropped instantly. The only reason you smoke that Molotov is if there's a player in there, or if you're going for some incredible 20 billion IQ fake, but no one does that. So he knows to look for that one, and then as soon as HSK misses an AWP shot, he can't defend himself. And now MVP, they've got to try something different here. This time, G2 aren't pressuring Banana early. Going for some mid-control instead, and HSK needs to hit a shot here, and Absol, body's going to end him.
Well, very, very sharp again. HSK, you can see what he was trying to do. He was trying to look for an advantage for MVP, and at this point, they've just got to try and pull out all the stops, but everything they're doing is not working. G2 has the answers. They've got the cheat sheet. MVP, though, do manage to peg one back, courtesy of Solo. He'll go into the smoke and does survive for a moment, but how much longer? Not much. As MBK is just watching and waiting for him to come out from the smoke. Kenny does get a tag across, and now Zion, can he step up here for his roster? He's got the 2 frags, Glow backing him up. In the end, Glow goes down, but Zion through the smoke, he gets another. It's a 2 versus 1, and this is the best chance now for MVP to come away with a round. Zion very low on HP, and Zeph with the AWP. It's not ideal.
Oh, this grenade. Goodness me, well, it was almost closed out entirely. Apex couldn't quite find the kill, though. Zeph will come through in the end. It's the best round that MVP have had for a while, but Zeph's just running off to pick up some util.
No, he was looking for the bomb.
Maybe a kid as well. Thank you, Jordan.
So, MVP, they managed to claw away another one. And that will afford them a bye through to the next round, despite losing so many guns.
But even that round, it comes through to some individual brilliance down from Zion. After finding this first smoke, I mean, he's fortunately didn't die right there. Can he hit the shot? But just dances through the smoke and happens to find the timing. It's not a team effort from MVP at this point. It's individual efforts from one player, and then Zeph coming through with an easy trade in the 2v1. At least it's another round, though, for MVP on their CT side. They can make it 9-6. All is not yet lost. They've got the AWP out on Solo going towards B as well, so maybe he can lock down Banana for them.
Well, Solo setting himself up at car. It's a double AWP set up again. This time, Solo misses, and he does not know that Mixwell is so close. Oh, this is dangerous now for Solo. He's made a lot of noise, and in the end, Mixwell will just peek out and take his head off. You could always see it was written before Solo was going to get absolutely demolished there by Mixwell. As soon as he didn't spot him getting up to the wall, it was all over.
And the jump across to bait out that very AWP shot. There's one for Zeph, but he's about to be under a lot of pressure.
Zeph gets a double kill though. That makes things a little bit more interesting as MVP do have the rotation coming across here. The bomb's still not yet down. Apex though, a great entry, and oh, HSK just comes out from the smoke. Kenny S is waiting, and G2, they can do no wrong at this point. Zion and Glow left in the 2 versus 3.
Very difficult situation for them as well, especially with the flank coming through from body, or the lurk, I should say. Even if the CT is getting to the bomb site here, they will not be expecting this wrap at all.
Oh, the Molotov is going to cause some even more problems here for G2. Body hits the shot onto Zion. Glow takes some damage from that Molotov, and now he's all on his own. 1 versus 3. In the end, Apex closes it out, and once more, it's going to be a 10-5 first half. This time, G2 looking good. G'day everyone, welcome back to sunny Sydney. Wouldn't it be nice to be down at the beach, Tim? That's a lie. I'd rather be here watching this fantastic matchup between G2 and MVP.PK. It's 10-5 right now. G2 looking dominant over MVP.
They are indeed. Interesting stat there about Mixwell joining in, and interestingly enough, Mixwell is the first time, as far as I know, that this core of players has ever had a non-French member of their team. Of course, I could be wrong about that, but it's always been a predominantly French bit of action for them. But speaking of the French side, they go up 10-5 now on the CT side of Inferno, doing well over MVP in at least the first half. MVP, though, have a lot of utility going into their pistol round here.
Yeah, let's not count MVP out just yet, though, Tim. We know that they're a very good Inferno side, and the CT hasn't really gone their way, but T-side maybe is going to be a turn of fortune for them.
Maybe it is. Taking slow banana control for now. And like I mentioned last half, it's Zion lurking around the apps. It's his favorite position to be on this map, or so it seems. But in the meantime, MVP, They've got the utility. They can go for smokes out into CT, which they've already done. Molotovs into the site. Try and open this one up. They've got flashbangs as well. Just waiting for the hit now.
Slow and steady wins the race. At least that's what MVP is telling themselves. They're also going to be waiting for Zine to potentially call something here. If he hears a rotation or if he sees a player or if he can find a pick even, that would be the ideal scenario for MVP. But it looks like they're going to be given the go signal now as the smoke goes into CT and to Coffins. MVP just going to be jumping up above that and looking to hit some heads, but just falls back straight away. Zeph, a great entry there onto Apex. The B-bomb site is now open for MVP and the bomb will go down. The smoke's keeping them safe for now. G2 will have to go for a retake.
Mixwell's going to find the first kill though, which opens it up. Zine has rotated over, so there's no threat of a backstab here. MVP all fighting on the bomb site or in banana.
Yeah, HSK is holding a nice line here. Good crossfire with Glow as well. Zeph is fairly low on HP, just needs to keep himself safe and sit there in dark. Make sure that he doesn't go down because he's much more useful alive. Let the other players do the work. HSK is going to be one of them, but in the end, G2 are hitting their shots now. It's all on to Zine. Not a lot of time left to work with for G2, but it doesn't matter. Kenny S has just come up with a massive pistol round. 3 kills. Fantastic work.
And that tells a pretty dark storyline for the remainder of this map now for MVP.
Yes.
If G2 win the anti-ecos here, the bomb does go down, so MVP will get their next chance at a buy round in the next round with that bit of extra money from the bomb plants, for an extra $800 per person. But still going to be looking at 12-5. If they lose that, 13-14 because they'll go into the eco. In this round, though, they've got a couple P250s, 2 flashbangs, or full P250s, I should say. 2 flashes out into the A-bomb site, get the bomb down, get that extra money is the call of the day. And we'll see what G2 have to say about it. They do have 3 players over here, taking some aggressive banana control and info as well, peeking around the wall. MVP now, waiting on the pop flashes, need to win some aim duels. And there's 3 players here.
Yeah, well, here comes the first pop flash. That'll allow MVP.PK to rotate in towards jungle, but there's 2 players waiting for them, Kenny S and Apex. And, well, that was a bit of a blender, wasn't it?
Yep, that was pretty much the ideal scenario there. G2 shut them all down. But for MVP there, they invested $300 on most players. They invested, what, $700 on the player who bought flashbangs as well. Nothing too much to speak of. The money coming in from the bomb plant in the first round will allow them to get the buy out here. And admittedly, if they planted in this round, that's the difference pretty much between them having utility and not. But they'll still have the AKs, a couple Galils actually, and basic utility. Going up against G2 though, big bonus round. 4 SMGs.
Yeah, MVP's not too shabby with the Galils though, so we'll have to keep an eye on what HSK and Glow can get done. Wouldn't necessarily say that it's a terrible buy though for MVP in this one. They slowed things down quite significantly though. MVP setting up fairly default, waiting to see maybe if there's a push out from G2. There is, into banana. But MVP not going to be able to do anything about it.
There's a re-smoke through into bottom mid as well, denying that banana presence for a bit longer. And G2 starting off by doing essentially what MVP did to them in the first half of their T side, or the CT side I should say. Taking that banana control, locking it down, pretty much eliminating B as an option for the first really minute for MVP. Looks like they do want to flash through here, maybe get down, take that fight in banana. It's MBK here with just the MP7. He is the solo B player. He'll be under pressure now, but he should be calling for the rotate, and indeed he is. Apex on his way over. Molotov's going to buy him enough time to fall back into a better position with that SMG.
Still a little bit to work with, though, for MVP in this round. They've got a couple of mollies, they've got 3 smoke grenades, so if they want to execute out onto this B bomb site, they certainly can do that. The only issue now is that late smoke going down by G2 is going to cost them some time.
And there's another smoke. Yeah, there's another smoke in this side of the map as well. Apex can drop another one, which he's going to do. This is like old Inferno.
Yeah.
This is what old Inferno used to be. Just lock banana out with smokes for the entire round. They're going to have to go through these smokes now, and Apex is so ready for it. Does get flashed off, but still finds the first frag.
And BK doing so much work, but he does eventually go down by Glow. The bomb will be planted, but a 2 versus 3, the retake, it's definitely possible, definitely doable here for G2. MVP, they need to push forward and try and find some 1v1s, but already, who is it there close? Mixwell, he gets so quickly into construction, and there's absolutely no chance here for Zine as he gets caught off guard as well. That's just like MVP not reading the play as well as G2 are. I mean, that was so fast on the rotate for G2, and MVP, there was no defense at all, really.
It was great utility usage, though, by G2 to win that round, because they did only have NBK here on B. As you can see, Apex rotated over, but if MBK had fallen back without dropping that Molotov, without dropping that smoke, he would have been swarmed, they would have lost the bomb site. But he buys enough time with his utility to allow Apex over, use more smokes. Like I said, looking like old Inferno, just shut down Banana forever.
Watching the T sit behind smokes for the entire round, I definitely agree with you. In the end, it's not worked out too nicely for MVP in their first gun round. They will be able to get another one out here before the end of the map, but the end of the map is drawing very near, and MVP are offering very little resistance right now up against G2. In the end, another anti-eco goes very easily by the wayside there for G2. They just get a couple of kills. They lose a couple of players, but in the end, they are not concerned about this at all.
Apex sitting on 22 frags at the moment, having a fabulous time here.
Yep.
Up against MVP early on, and this is a really good confidence thing, I think, for G2 as well, given how late of an addition they were here to IEM Sydney, coming in just a few days ago, in fact. So getting off the board with a nice, easy warm-up game. I'm not sure, I didn't think it was going to be that way coming in, but MVP have rolled over pretty easily so far. Still a chance for them, but G2 are going to be feeling pretty good about this start so far. And they've got the AWP out into Kenny S here. HSK with the answering one, but he didn't have much of an impact on that CT side with it. Hope to see if he can do better on the T as the slow banana control comes in for MVP. They've got Zion lurking around over in apps as well, but there's a double stack for G2 there. So pretty in control of this one so far. It's going to need to be some good shooting from MVP to get themselves into this round.
Another execute out onto the B bomb site. This time just a couple of smokes and a flashbang. Is it going to be a fake though for MVP? They're not really committing to it, and there's a couple of players still hanging over by the A bomb site. MVP known to do that. It is option in their repertoire.
Bit of a double fake play here, actually getting util onto both sides before they move. Zeph and Zion need to get a few kills. Oh, not Zeph, it's Zion and Glow on A. Need to find themselves a kill or two to make this happen, because G2 are just going to go straight back to dropping utility on Banana, slowing the T's down. And MVP has to reconsider already.
Again, NBK does still have a smoke here over on the B bomb site, so if MVP still sit in the Banana, and this gets down again, once the resmoke comes across for G2, it's going to be 20 seconds left in the round for MVP to push through. Or they're just going to die to Apex like that. Zeph sticking his shoulder around the corner there. It's not going to work out too nicely for him. And MVP, well, they'll take that as the go signal into the B bomb site, but they haven't really established too much control. Solo's in a good spot if they actually take this B bomb site, but that is still a task that they need to achieve, and they're not going to be able to do it. Mixwell gets 2. He's looking very, very sharp today. MBK just playing the crossfire. In the end, Kenny S does get dropped, and Solo's the only one to find a frag in that round for MVP. Not any use in taking the bomb site. He was already pushed through.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, that position from a Solo, if they got that into a post plant, that position's great because he cuts off the rotate coming in, helps them hold on to the bomb site. But first, they needed to actually win the fights to take the bomb site, and they did just get shut down. So G2, 15-5, looking pretty comfortable here in their opening best of 1 at IEM Sydney. For MVP, it's 4 AKs and a MAC-10 on Zion to try and stop this onslaught, but not sure how I feel about their confidence, especially as G2 are just going to take direct fights in mid.
Yeah, look at this G2. They just want to get this one over and done with. Kenny S has already picked up the first Apex. The spray down onto Zeph does land, and everyone's just getting absolutely decimated right now on the side of MVP.PK. It is just Glow left alive, and I was going to talk about the MAC-10 there for HSK and how MVP do like to use the SMGs here and there, but maybe not in this round, and he didn't even really have the opportunity to.
Bombs down in a terrible spot as well. It's G2 basically just wanting to close out the game at this point.
Yeah, Glow still hanging on though. It's a 2 versus 1, so who knows what he can be able to do here. It's going to be the double peek out from G2, and Glow has spotted that, but sacrifices a lot of his HP in doing so. There's just no easy way out from Kitchen here for him. He just has to fight his way out, and G2, they're just not taking any chances here. They don't want to give him those 1v1s, although they are. He's just not quite managing to convert them into kills.
Not quite. Still time to work with here for Glow as well, so maybe a massive clutch on the cards, but even then...
Oh, not quite. In the end, G2 come away with the victory. 16 rounds up. It was a pretty straightforward win for them, really. MVP not offering too much resistance, but you've heard enough from us. Let's hear again from our lovely analysts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. A quick one there from your casters. That was Elfish and Brainstorm. We're going to be talking about this one with YNK and Sniper, myself, Machine, residing as well. And you blink and you miss it. G2 versus MVP. We were painting a picture that this one would be, you know, some equal resistance, bearing in mind we have had some one-sided affairs today. We saw Renegades versus Legacy. We got to see Greyhound versus Cloud9, Energy versus Astralis. Gave us a taste of what it can be like, and unfortunately we're right back to
square one.
Square one, day one. I mean, this is the day one results.
Definitely. I mean, look, I expected something more from MVP coming into this, but I guess they started pretty strong. But then G2 just started to blow them away. Just individual brilliance. I think G2 didn't even really. Well, they pretty much just adapted to whatever MVP were throwing at them, and then MVP. They're pretty arrogant in the way they play as well. They don't really mix things up. They just play the way they play, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, they never really seem to have a plan B.
Yeah, I mean, there's something you kind of alluded to in the pre-match as well. Yanko, you kind of were echoing some of those sentiments from way back in the day. Does it seem that their gameplay does seem quite stubborn, quite unwilling to change?
I mean, it was mostly related to the T side, but on the CT side, you could see they were having issues towards that B bomb site mostly, right? They were up 4-0. And then they have a setup where, you know, both guys are towards CT, one is boosted up, and sure, that's great, maybe a sort of a little bait setup, but that was against pistols, and once the guy on boost died, the other guy was smoked off, and you can see the site, and just, you know, feels like an unnecessary round to lose, like an unnecessary setup at the moment, and we saw even after that in some situations, you know, one guy, whether it was solo or someone else playing aggressively in Banana, his teammate is nowhere. He's like not in a position to even like properly flash for him if he wants to fall back. So lack of coordination in some critical moments from MVP. G2, you know, picked up the pace from that point on. Really were playing with a lot of confidence, and after they won the second pistol round, it was pretty much over.
And when we talk about confidence, there is one man who seems to be the tip of our tongues more often than not, Apex. I mean, he has been a player that has, up throughout all the ups and downs, been delivering, and he did so again today.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely been one of, or if not G2's most consistent player.
Right.
Even when Shox was in the team, it almost felt like that. But then there was also the periods where Apex would also just go missing, and he was consistently missing. So I think now it's just more the fact that Apex is here, he's back, and he's putting up big numbers, and he's been doing it consistently for quite a while. And I think that's really what carried them back into this match as well. I feel like he was obviously the guy that they said, look, just see what you can do, and he really did elevate for G2 when they were sort of struggling. And then you had also Mixwell, who just did those random things through smokes and whatnot, and Kenny S as well. Even with the rifle, he was just deleting people. So, I mean, look, it was G2 just saying, look, okay, yeah, it's MVP, all right? So
it's an all too familiar tale, isn't it, Yanko, when we sit there and go Apex and Kenny. We used to call them win conditions, and well, in this instance, they certainly helped.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, individually and on a team basis, MVP was just outplayed, and it is a bit disappointing because, you know, as we said, we expected more from them in this particular game. They got their best map as well, so if they can't make a bigger splash here, you wonder, you know, can they make a splash at all?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a real bit of a worrying sign. In fact, with that group kind of done now, I think my first question is, or rather with that group, with that start done, with the teams that we have seen play, who would you say has been the best kind of surprise for you, Sniper?
Oh, look, without a doubt, NRG
of course,
on LAN up against the best team in the world. They really surprised me in the fact that they even got it to overtime, and they were almost in a position to win the game so many times. But I think that's definitely been the surprise for me. I think every other game pretty much gone as expected on this stream anyway. So
across both. I mean, if you think about it, we had, who else? We had Chiefs, Boot, Tyloo.
The Tyloo SK one's got to be the biggest upset for the day, I guess, of all the teams.
Yeah, that's going to be, that's thrown a complete spanner in the works of those brackets, hasn't it, Yanko? I mean, when you take a look at with all of the best of ones now done, we can safely say that, you know, there's two results that stand out. Energy versus Astralis, we learned a lot about that one, and then getting to see SK fall to the lower bracket.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising, definitely, even if it's a best of one, but, you know, you do expect them to at least stay in the tournament,
Yes,
right? I don't expect them to lose to Greyhound in a best of three, so they're either going to meet Tyloo or potentially Cloud9, you know, Renegades at some point, and, you know, that's where SK really needs to step up, right? I mean, just they're playing below their level significantly, and I still have faith in them, and that we're going to see them in the Qudos Bank Arena.
Tyloo really stepped up their game. It's not necessarily SK looking awful. Let's not make no mistake. When Yanko read the scoreboard off, they were all still positive, or at least Bolts staying equal, if not anything else. Now we have a fun one for you. Before we do start talking about best of threes and getting into them, we do have your Play Faster moment brought to you by Vodafone. We're going to get to see that sexy Counter-Strike. We'll see who indeed has picked this one up. And word on the street, it is NRG and it is Daps. Take a look at this one. First round of overtime. He's standing vigilant over on that bomb site, and they just come one by one. 3 swift kills. It certainly is a hashtag Play Faster moment. I can't argue with that one. 3 very quick kills.
so weird that he gets them from this angle, right? It's usually a
So
one and
predictable,
done. And
yeah.
it's always so surprising when you see players still get more than one kill because it's so easily cleared. But I guess with the time running low, they really couldn't check everything.
They just panic a little bit and capitulate there. And I mean, obviously you do get to see the shadow as well as Daps. You see them, and that's why the jumping shot may be a little bit easy for him. But yeah, I mean, also what Yanko said before, you don't really count on Daps as being the star player for NRG.
Yeah.
He's really turned it up for at least today, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that going throughout the tournament.
We'll be seeing more from NRG. Couldn't quite close out on an overpass into that overtime, but yeah, they started strong, managed to get 2-3 rounds together as well. Strada's just stamping their authority on that game to end it all. For now, though, we are going to be taking a break. When we do come back, it is time for the best of 3, so rub your hands together. We get to see FaZe Clan back in action, and they're versus the Renegades. Will this be a close call, or has Exist got comfortable in the star-studded roster? We'll find out and answer those questions after this.